This is the unbelievable true story of how prisoners escaped a Venezuelan prison using nothing but paper and string. In just a moment, you'll discover the improvised technique guards never noticed and the one mistake that nearly exposed the escape. If you enjoy real prison escapes and impossible breakouts, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button to support the video. The figure descended 80 meters along the sheer concrete face of the prison. The improvised rope, constructed from tightly braided fabric and string, provided a tenuous connection to the prison roof. Below, the ground was a concrete slab, 24 stories down. The surrounding landscape was dark, illuminated only by the distant lights of Caracas. The wind speed measured 15 kilometers per hour, causing a slight lateral movement of the rope. A single misstep in this descent meant a terminal fall, an 80-meter impact onto hard concrete. The operation occurred in silence, a deliberate act executed without detection. The individual's hands gripped the rough fibers of the braided cord. Above, the rope was secured by an unknown anchor, a complex system fixed to the building's exterior. The security floodlights, positioned every 10 meters along the prison perimeter, swept across the wall every 15 seconds. Detection by these lights would trigger an immediate response from armed guards in the watchtowers and on the ground. The temperature dropped to 18 degrees Celsius, increasing the risk of muscle cramps and reduced dexterity. The descent was executed with calculated precision. Each foot placement against the cold concrete wall was tested before full weight was applied to the cord. The extreme height provided no margin for error, and the descent mechanism relied entirely on the integrity of the handmade rope and its anchor. The stakes involved were absolute. Success meant freedom. Failure meant a fatal impact or immediate recapture and severe disciplinary action. El Rodeo II, a maximum security prison located in Miranda, Venezuela, was architecturally designed as an impenetrable fortress. Its construction utilized multiple layers of reinforced concrete and high-tensile steel, engineered to withstand significant external and internal pressures. The facility served as the primary holding institution for Venezuela's most dangerous criminals and high-profile political prisoners. Perimeter defenses included multiple watchtowers positioned at all cardinal points, a system of electrified fences, and advanced motion sensors embedded in the ground and walls. Corrections officials consistently asserted the prison's security protocols were infallible, making any escape attempt impossible. The system relied on constant human surveillance combined with technological barriers, publicly maintaining a 100% containment record since its establishment in 1999. The prison director often cited the facility's design as a testament to modern correctional engineering, publicly dismissing any possibility of a breach from within its walls. Inside the central control room, the monitors displayed an uneventful night shift. Digital readouts confirmed all cell doors were secured. Guard patrols maintained routine intervals along the inner and outer perimeters, adhering to established schedules. Thermal cameras registered no anomalies on the exterior walls, their sensors reporting consistent temperature patterns. The watchtower guards scanned the surrounding area with night vision equipment, observing no movement beyond the natural environment. The absence of alarms or alerts indicated normal operations across all security systems. The prison's command center registered no deviation from standard protocols, showing green lights for all security zones. The escape was actively in progress, a profound bypass of a system specifically designed for total prevention. The undetected departure was a direct result of meticulous planning and precise execution against a backdrop of institutional complacency. 3 months earlier, on July 14, 2011, Marcos Zambrano was transferred to El Rodeo II. Zambrano, a 42-year-old former civil engineer, faced charges related to a large-scale embezzlement scheme involving government contracts. His previous legal battles and brief incarcerations in lower security facilities had demonstrated a calculated and analytical approach to institutional environments. His official prison file detailed a high-risk flight probability, citing his intelligence and documented history of meticulous planning. Upon arrival, he was immediately placed in Block C, a dedicated maximum security section reserved for inmates deemed to pose the highest escape risk. This placement was a direct consequence of his assessed threat level and the severity of his 25-year sentence. Marcos Zambrano possessed an exceptionally analytical and methodical mind, characteristics evident in his prior professional and criminal endeavors. His criminal record detailed a history of complex financial fraud, operations involving forged architectural documents, intricate bank account manipulations, and precise timing. These schemes required advanced planning, an understanding of system vulnerabilities, and extreme patience. Zambrano had no history of violent offenses. His methods relied on intelligence and deception rather than force. His motivation for escape stemmed directly from a 25-year sentence handed down without any possibility of parole. This sentence, effectively a life sentence for a man of his age, represented the termination of his existence outside prison walls. His desperation was a logical consequence of this judicial outcome, propelling him to assess his new environment with the precision of an engineer evaluating structural weaknesses in a complex system. He viewed his incarceration as a solvable problem, an engineering challenge with specific constraints and objectives. El Rodeo 2 operated on a multi-tiered security model, designed to be impermeable. Inmates were housed in individual cells, each measuring 2 meters in width by 3 meters in length, constructed from solid, reinforced concrete. The cell walls were 30 centimeters thick. The cell doors were fabricated from solid steel, 5 centimeters thick, and equipped with electronic locking mechanisms controlled centrally. Each cell block featured a central guard station positioned to provide visual oversight of all cell doors and the central corridor. External windows, located on the outer wall of each cell, were heavily barred with 2-inch diameter steel rods, spaced 10 centimeters apart, permanently embedded in the concrete. The primary perimeter wall was 6 meters high, constructed from a specific blend of high-strength concrete designed to resist impacts and cutting tools. Watchtowers, strategically placed every 100 meters, were equipped with .50 caliber machine guns and high-powered searchlights, providing a 360-degree view of the exterior. Ground patrols rotated every 30 minutes, following unpredictable routes to prevent inmates from identifying patterns. The prison's design integrated multiple redundancies, ensuring no single point of failure could compromise the overall security integrity of the facility. The most significant physical obstacle for any escape attempt from Zambrano's cell in Block C was the external wall itself. Located on the 24th floor, the vertical drop from his cell window to the ground measured 80 meters. The sheer concrete surface offered no natural handholds or footholds. Its finish was smooth and devoid of purchase points. No external fixtures, such as pipes or maintenance ledges, provided an anchor point or a climbing aid for a descent. The wall was coated with a non-slip, anti-climb treatment, a gritty aggregate designed to prevent any friction necessary for climbing. The prison's architectural specifications explicitly designated this face of the building as unscalable. The combination of the extreme vertical distance and the complete absence of any natural or artificial climbing aids presented a physical barrier that previous inmates and security consultants considered an absolute, insurmountable deterrent. It represented the prison's final, unbreachable defense. Zambrano spent weeks observing guard rotations, facility maintenance schedules, and the specific operations of the prison's security systems. He identified a critical vulnerability: the ventilation grate in his cell, a 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter steel fixture, was secured by 4 standard Phillips head screws. This grate provided access to a narrow, unused maintenance shaft. Over several days, he collected discarded food wrappers, newspaper scraps, and other cellulose materials from his meals and from the common area. These paper materials became the foundation of his elaborate project. He used saliva and small amounts of water, slowly acquired from his drinking cup, to soften the paper pulp. This pulp was then meticulously compressed into dense, solid blocks, using the weight of his mattress and a section of cell wall. These blocks were dried over days, hidden under his bed, and then carefully shaped into tools using a piece of sharpened plastic from a toothbrush handle. He also requested extra hygiene items, including dental floss and shoelaces, during his weekly commissary visit. These items, along with loose threads meticulously unraveled from his uniform and bed sheets, were braided into thin, remarkably strong cords. He managed to obtain a small flat metal strip from a broken locker latch in the communal showering area. This strip, approximately 10 centimeters long, was sharpened by rubbing it against the concrete floor over many hours, transforming it into a crude but effective screwdriver and cutting tool. He used this improvised screwdriver to loosen one of the ventilation grate screws per day, a process requiring extreme caution and silence. The loosened screw head was then camouflaged with a mixture of toothpaste and dirt, precisely matched to the grate surface, to evade visual inspection. This meticulous manipulation of the grate screws took 3 weeks to complete. The risk of detection was constant. A single unscheduled inspection or a vigilant guard would expose the entire operation and lead to severe consequences. To maintain the illusion of his presence in the cell during his work sessions, he constructed a life-size dummy from spare clothing, blankets, and towels. This dummy was positioned in his bunk, obscured by shadows and covered by a blanket, to deceive hourly checks by patrolling guards who often only glanced into the cells without close inspection. From the hardened paper blocks and the meticulously braided string, Zambrano constructed a specialized grappling hook. The paper was precisely shaped into a series of angled components, forming a claw-like structure designed for maximum purchase. These components were internally reinforced with segments of sharpened plastic from a toothbrush handle, providing additional rigidity and structural integrity. The entire paper and plastic structure was then bound tightly with a braided dental floss and shoelaces, creating a remarkably rigid yet lightweight tool. The finished paper grappling hook weighed approximately 200 grams, a weight significantly less than conventional metal hooks, reducing its visibility and potential noise during deployment. It was specifically engineered to hook onto the exterior ventilation grates of the prison building, which featured robust external flanges approximately 2 centimeters wide, providing ideal anchor points. This object represented a radical deviation from conventional escape tools, relying on ingenious design and material manipulation rather than heavy-duty components. Its successful construction was a testament to his engineering background and his ability to adapt available resources to overcome a specific physical obstacle. The escape was scheduled for the night of October 27, 2011. The meteorological forecast predicted an overcast sky with a light breeze, providing ideal conditions for reduced visibility and sound suppression. The specific window for the attempt was identified as between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., a period confirmed by Zambrano's observations to have the lowest guard presence and activity levels. The moon cycle indicated a new moon, resulting in minimal ambient light, further aiding in concealment. Inside the small cell, Zambrano prepared the final elements of his plan with methodical precision. The constructed tools, the paper grappling hook, the braided cord, and the sharpened metal strip, were laid out for quick, silent access. The dummy lay on the bunk, covered by a blanket, replicating his sleeping form. The prison remained under normal operational conditions. The hum of the ventilation system was constant, and the distant sounds of guard movements were regular. The hourly security checks continued, passing by his cell without incident. The absence of any alerts or unusual activity confirmed the optimal, unsuspecting conditions for the planned escape. The silence in the cell block was broken only by the distant rhythmic hum of the prison's internal systems, a sound that masked his preparations. At 2:03 a.m., Zambrano initiated the escape. He used the sharpened metal strip, serving as an improvised screwdriver, to carefully remove the 4 screws securing the ventilation grate. The grate, made of rusted steel, came loose with a faint grinding sound, which was muffled by a piece of cloth he placed over the grate as he worked. He moved the grate and slipped through the 30-centimeter square opening, entering the narrow, dark maintenance shaft. The shaft, approximately 60 centimeters wide and 1.5 meters high, ran horizontally for 10 meters. He navigated this confined space with silent movements, reaching an external access point that led directly to the building's sheer outer wall. He observed the wall for several minutes, assessing the wind and the security light patterns. The first critical challenge was securing the paper grappling hook to a specific ventilation flange located 5 meters below his position. He attached the braided cord, which measured 80 meters in length, to the paper grappling hook. This cord was meticulously composed of 20 separate braided strands of dental floss and shoelaces, each strand having been individually tested for tensile strength. He lowered the hook carefully, aiming for the external flange with deliberate precision. On the third attempt, the paper hook engaged with the metal flange, securing itself firmly. He then tested the hold by applying gradual, increasing weight to the cord. The paper structure, reinforced by plastic, held the tension. Zambrano then began his descent down the 80-meter wall. His hands, gripping the multi-braided cord, slid downwards in a controlled manner. The rough concrete wall was abrasive against his clothing, causing continuous friction. He maintained a controlled rate of descent, approximately 1 meter per minute, to avoid generating excessive noise or losing his grip. He meticulously monitored the sweep of the security floodlights. Each light sweep lasted 5 seconds. He paused his descent during the light's direct path, freezing against the wall, resuming movement only when the area was plunged back into shadow. The wind currents at that altitude caused the rope to sway slightly, requiring him to brace his body against the concrete to maintain stability. The risk of discovery by a passing guard patrol or a sweeping spotlight was constant. The descent took approximately 80 minutes of continuous, controlled effort. He reached the ground at 3:23 a.m., landing silently on the concrete slab at the base of the prison wall. He immediately detached the grappling hook and cord, concealing them in a nearby storm drain opening, preventing any immediate evidence of his method. He then moved away from the prison wall, navigating the outer perimeter toward a less visible section of the chain link fence. He crawled for 50 meters, staying low to the ground to avoid detection by security cameras positioned on lower structures. He successfully bypassed 2 ground-level motion sensors by timing his movements between their detection cycles. He reached the outer fence, a 3-meter-high chain link barrier topped with razor wire. He used a section of the sharpened metal strip, his improvised cutting tool, to cut through the fence wire. The process generated minimal noise, each cut requiring careful force and precision. He created an opening wide enough for his body to pass through. At 3:45 a.m., he was outside the final prison perimeter, stepping onto the soft dirt of the surrounding scrubland. Zambrano walked away from El Rodeo 2 on a narrow dirt road leading to the nearest highway. The immediate surroundings consisted of undeveloped scrubland and sparse vegetation, providing little cover but also few observers. He maintained a steady, brisk pace for 2 kilometers. He passed a single, unlit farmhouse, its residents unaware of the event unfolding nearby. No vehicles or other individuals were visible on the desolate road in the pre-dawn hours. The initial moments of freedom were marked by the absence of pursuit and the mundane reality of the rural landscape. He reached a paved rural road, then turned west, following its path. The first definitive sign of external civilization was a public bus stop, located 5 kilometers from the prison's outer perimeter. He waited at the stop at 4:30 a.m., blending into the quiet morning environment. A local public transport bus, identifiable by its yellow and blue livery, arrived at 4:45 a.m. He boarded the bus, paid the small fare with prearranged cash that he had concealed on his person, and took a seat near the rear. The bus proceeded towards Caracas, approximately 30 kilometers away. The escape operation concluded with a standard, unexceptional commute, a stark contrast to its elaborate execution. At 6 a.m., during the first routine cell count of the day, a guard on duty in Block C noticed the dummy in Zambrano's bunk. The guard immediately initiated a manual check of cell 24B, entering the cell to investigate. The physical absence of Zambrano was confirmed at 6:05 a.m. The alarm was instantly raised across the entire facility. Security personnel and tactical response units rushed to cell 24B. They discovered the dislodged ventilation grate in the cell wall, its screws lying on the floor. Following the trajectory implied by the opening, a braided cord, still attached to the paper grappling hook, was found near an external drain pipe directly below the cell. The prison director, Colonel Ricardo Mendez, was notified at 6:15 a.m. The entire facility was placed on immediate lockdown, and all inmate movements ceased. An immediate ground perimeter search began. The cut in the outer chain link fence was discovered at 6:30 a.m., confirming the escape route. Authorities confirmed a successful escape at 6:40 a.m., 3 hours after Zambrano had left the perimeter. The initial assessment determined Zambrano had secured a significant head start, estimated at 2 hours. The escape had occurred under standard surveillance protocols, completely undetected by any of the prison's advanced security systems or personnel. The Venezuelan National Guard and the Policía Nacional Bolivariana immediately launched a nationwide manhunt for Marcos Zambrano. All major international airports, seaports, and land border crossings were placed on high alert, and Zambrano's photograph and physical description were disseminated to all national and local law enforcement agencies. Roadblocks were swiftly established on primary highways leading out of Caracas and other major cities. Public announcements were made via television and radio, warning citizens of an escaped high-risk inmate and requesting public assistance. The investigation involved a meticulous review of all prison surveillance footage for the preceding 3 months, specifically focusing on Zambrano's movements and interactions. Investigators conducted extensive interviews with guards, maintenance staff, and fellow inmates, attempting to uncover any foreknowledge or complicity. False leads frequently emerged, including unconfirmed sightings in cities as far as Maracaibo and Puerto La Cruz. These reports were investigated and subsequently dismissed. The primary focus of the manhunt remained centered on the capital city of Caracas and its surrounding rural areas, where Zambrano had known associates from his previous life. The escape generated significant media attention and public debate, leading to widespread questioning of the integrity and effectiveness of the prison system. The pressure on law enforcement agencies mounted as days passed without a capture, intensifying the search efforts across urban and rural zones. Marcos Zambrano evaded capture for 72 hours, using his pre-planned cache to move anonymously. He traveled initially by local bus, then by multiple short-distance taxi rides, systematically avoiding known associates, past residences, and any public places where his face might be recognized. His immediate objective was to reach the Colombian border, a journey of approximately 700 kilometers southwest of Caracas, where he intended to seek refuge. On October 30th, at approximately 11:30 a.m., Zambrano was identified by a local shopkeeper in a small, remote town near San Cristobal, only 50 kilometers from the Colombian border. The shopkeeper recognized his face from a televised news report that had been running continuously on local channels. The shopkeeper immediately contacted local police authorities. Within minutes, a patrol car intercepted Zambrano on a rural road just outside the town limits. He offered no resistance during his apprehension. His capture was not a result of sophisticated tracking or a specific intelligence operation, but rather an incidental public recognition enabled by widespread media dissemination and the vigilance of a private citizen. The irony of his escape, executed through an elaborate, improvised method against a maximum security institution, was starkly contrasted by his recapture due to a simple public broadcast and a single observant individual. The escape of Marcos Zambrano triggered an immediate and comprehensive review of all security protocols and physical infrastructure at El Rodeo II. The prison director, Colonel Ricardo Mendez, was removed from his position within 24 hours of Zambrano's recapture, facing an official inquiry into the security lapse. As a direct consequence, the ventilation grates in all inmate cells throughout the facility were permanently welded shut, eliminating the specific point of entry Zambrano exploited. Exterior walls were meticulously inspected for any potential anchor points or climbing aids, and all flanges or protrusions were systematically removed or covered. Additional motion sensors and infrared cameras were installed on the building's exterior surfaces, specifically targeting areas previously deemed unscalable. The frequency of armed guard patrols was increased, with staggered timings and unpredictable routes implemented to prevent any inmate from identifying patterns. Internal cell inspections were made more rigorous, including routine searches for improvised tools and prohibited materials. The prison implemented a new policy restricting the number and type of personal hygiene items allowed per inmate, specifically targeting materials like dental floss and shoelaces. The incident forced Venezuelan correctional authorities to acknowledge the persistent ingenuity of inmates as a significant and adaptable security threat. The previously impeccable 100% containment record of El Rodeo II was permanently compromised by Zambrano's actions. Marcos Zambrano received an additional 15-year sentence for his escape attempt, bringing his total incarceration period to 40 years. He was transferred to a maximum security facility located on Isla Margarita, a remote island prison off the Venezuelan coast, designed specifically to prevent any further escape attempts through its isolated location and stringent security measures. He remained in solitary confinement for the first 2 years of his new sentence. The event confirmed his reputation as an inmate of exceptional cunning and resourcefulness. His escape, executed with improvised tools of paper and string against a formidable concrete structure, stood as a tangible testament to human ingenuity and determination when confronted with extreme institutional force. It also served as a permanent, undeniable reminder of the inherent vulnerabilities within seemingly impenetrable systems, exposing a critical flaw in El Rodeo II's design and operational procedures. Zambrano's name became synonymous with the impossible escape, a cautionary tale continuously recounted among prison administrators and a legend whispered among the incarcerated population. His ultimate fate, despite his temporary triumph over steel and concrete, was to remain confined, his freedom a fleeting, yet precisely executed, act of defiance.